Speaking of the worst theme park attractions, you guys are in like a giant seashell?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's weird.
0 out of 10 would not download the app.
You know they would make an app.
Oh my god.
Alexander is get on the Flumph app. She powered by like a wall.
You say this, but 6th edition's gonna come out. You're gonna spend $40 on the player's handbook. It's gonna be like a little pamphlet with a QR code inside.
They already do that with video games, Brick Road.
That's I think I would just not ever buy.
Like they tried that once already.
Yeah,
Lest we forget the Final Fantasy IX strategy guide.
Oh, I thought you meant D&D had tried that.
Yeah, Fantasy 9 did try that, and it did not work.
You know, the thing is I had that guide, and everything was present in the guide, just incredibly vague. Like if you wanted, you could suss out what to do with just the guide, because I actually sat down and was like, do I need to go to play online because I don't have internet? I didn't have internet at the time. Or can I use this? And I did everything in the game with the guide.
Certainly not, because of that thing that people found, that side nonsense with the Zanero brothers like 10 years after the game came out.
Oh, I always considered I don't even remember what those were called. The little cutscenes. I always considered those neat, but not like core to the gameplay experience.
I can get an accessory for that.
You get a protect ring, I think. You don't get anything exclusive.
Right.
But yeah. Speaking of, like, I did the math last week because when I was cutting the video to put it on YouTube, I had to Google how many calories are in 2 gallons of mayo. Because I had previously done this. I just want everybody to know, so it's on the VOD, so it's on the video on YouTube here. 2 gallons of mayo has over 48,000 calories.
That's already in the Flumph chat.
I know, that's where I'm getting. And then
so divide that by five people over the course of 57 days.
But the math is like McDohl asked me how many gallons is how many calories is in 4 gallons of beer, and I googled that. It's 6,656 calories. And then how fast can one get alcohol poisoning? And they have that information on the internet as well. It takes 25 standard drinks on average to reach a fatal blood alcohol content level. A standard beer is 12 ounces, so one person could, on average, drink 2.34 gallons of beer before they even approached lethal levels of blood alcohol content.
So what he's saying,
is that Connor and I finished that 4 gallons of beer.
I'm gonna have to make sure. Okay, I do have a scroll of neutralized poison.
So I can't finish 4 gallons of beer. I would die, but if I get somebody to drink with me, we can split it.
I'm still not convinced you could, because at some point your stomach is full, and then trying to add more material will make you
What
vomit.
happens? So you literally just pee it out. Like if you drink a whole bunch of beer, you just pee. It's like drinking, because it's like, no, seriously.
Your body can't absorb the alcohol fast enough.
So you just pee it out. So you just go over and you pee. But it's
Connor and Guts absolutely had a pissing contest.
Can we be clear that we're not advocating drinking so much beer that your body has to dispose of it before you have a chance to absorb the alcohol from it? I'm worried that somebody's watching the video and hearing Treble, like, matter-of-factly talk about the fruits of his research and being like, see, I knew I could drink all the beer in the world and nothing bad would happen.
Yes, disclaimer.
Go ahead. Disclaimer.
Disclaimer, you should not do this.
My goal was for you to go, Gus, roll a Constitution saving throw, and it has never happened. You failed, you died.
You can't drink that much of anything without... 2 gallons of anything, I think. Well, I remember 1996 was a big Christmas because you had the Nintendo 64 and the Tickle Me Elmo. Y'all remember the Tickle Me Elmo? So a toy store I think in Tampa, got sponsored by a radio station. This big stupid thing where whoever drank the most water the fastest could win the Tickle Me Elmo, and a woman died from what was it called? Hydration poisoning or something? Like you drink so much water that your body just gets completely diluted and you pass out, and then she died.
I think
From
that was
water.
the Wii, because I think that the catchphrase was "Hold your Wii for the Wii."
It was definitely Tickle Me Elmo, but
Oh,
no.
they did that twice then. Oh
It
my god!
does
Why
not
would they learn?
it does not surprise me that 10 years later, some other stupid radio station would make the same exact mistake. And you know what? I sympathize. It's water. Water can't hurt you. Water is fine.
You can drown in water. What are you talking about?
Water is scary. Never trust water.
You would know.
Bringing it back to the current situation our player characters are in.
Well, you're in salt water. You shouldn't be drinking that anyway.
That's fair.
Salt water is the most untrustworthy water. None of it's trustworthy.
The worst water.
And I mean, this is like Underdark salt water, which is like
No, it isn't.
triple.
All the salt water came here with us.
They stole it. They stole it from the Underdark. Stole it. Let's be honest.
Pretty sure they would give it back if they could.
Yeah.
They don't like the salt water any more than we do. So,
So you guys had fought off the Aboleth Outriders. The introduction of this new inland sea, where before there had been a river valley in this section of the Underdark, has caused nightmarish creatures, psionic leviathans from the deep, deep places of the world to try to expand their territory upward and outward. So the threat that you faced last week here aboard the Widdershins was kind of one of those little probes. Is this particular vessel easy pickings to expand our territory? And you all have definitively showed them that no, this particular vessel is not. Well done.
Yay.
Go us.
pat Lucius on the back because he Eldritch blasted him a lot. I think
I did do a lot of that.
the last like 2 or 3 combat encounters, Lucius has just been like pew 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 and done most of the damage.
Listen, level 11's a really good level for warlocks.
Also, like I felt kind of useless because I'm down here and they're up there, and he's the sheriff.
Wow.
Sorry, I said it and then I couldn't. I said what I was getting at was I'm down here with my hammer and everything is flying or we're falling into like an abyss or something. Or it's underwater and I feel like I can't get to things. That's my fault. That's not. But yeah, no. Sorry.
Your time will come, I'm pretty sure.
Gruit Dome, captain of the Widdershins, has set sail for what he says is an area of highlands around this river valley where he knows a holdfast called Keeglis to have sat. This would be a holdfast overseen by a gnomish family that frequently had business and trade down in the actual valley itself. And the reason he's setting sail for Keeglis is because the lady of the keep is apparently a frequent customer aboard his vessel when it was a river-going pleasure barge up and down this area of the valley. Also because it was on one of the higher hills in the area, and he's thinking it might not be flooded out yet. Basically, he wants, now that he has new information about the threat and the source of all the water and what's going on, he wants to try to pass the information along to people who can do something about it. However, after, you all can take the benefits of a long rest if you haven't.
Yeah.
As you enter the area of the highlands on the last day of the voyage, it becomes clear that hilltops that he was expecting would not be submerged are, and only the highest of the hills remain as islands, essentially, in the sea. When Keegless looms before you, it's apparent that most of the keep has been flooded out and is submerged, except for one of the outlying towers. As you get close enough to the tower, it becomes apparent that the place is in a state of very recent destruction, and not just from the water. It looks as though the place was flooded out. There are no safe places to make landing with a boat, because obviously you're approaching what is essentially a hilltop, not actually the shores of an island. But Gruit Dome, as you come in closer enough to the island, expresses worry that something nefarious must have sacked the tower. Looking at it, you can see where the tower stands, but the curtain wall that comes around to one side of it that leads down into the water, into a submerged section of the keep. The wall has been demolished by something, brought down low, and is now just kind of stacks of rubble. The tower itself, as you circle around to the north side of the island, as you circle onto the south side of the island, where great looming doors would have been the entryway into the tower with a portcullis that can come down. You can see where the portcullis has been pried completely away, and it's just a twisted jag of metal. And something has destroyed the doors themselves with such force it has ripped stone and brick from the sides of the entryway. So instead of having a doorway going into this tower, it's essentially just a great hole blasted into the stone. And the place is falling to ruins, and it does not look particularly safe to inhabit. And Gruit Dome is worried that any survivors that might be inside.
How many people lived in this town? It was a town, right?
No, this was just a holdfast.
Okay.
Down below, if you go north from here, if you go south from here, I'm getting my north and south mixed up for some reason. If you would have gone south from here and there's not an ocean, like a brand new sea that just showed up, you would travel down the hills into the river valley. And along the river valley, villages and towns had been established. Not that long ago, maybe 100 years or so, this entire area was the staging ground for slave armies that were headed up by drow kingdoms that were sent down into to do war against gnomish kingdoms and an Illithid stronghold in the area. After the Great War, when William the Bald, not bold, he's bald, smashed the Illithids in the Underdark several generations ago, gnomish settlers basically came into the valley, took apart the drow bit by bit, and established a fairly peaceable civilization here. So any towns and villages that had just been flooded out were relatively new, just a couple generations old. Then surrounding the valley on the north and south, as it ascended up into the foothills, they built holdfasts around the borders. And the Keegless is one of those holdfasts. And all that remains of it now is just one tower.
Keegless, what's the name of this of the person who patronized your vessel? What's her name?
Gelman Paletop. was the Lady of the Holdfast. Her garrison here was charged with defense of the valley from this direction, against drow slavers, primarily. But for obvious reasons, it was not built well to withstand attacks from sea. The nearest water would have been the river, way down below, or the wells on the site of the Holdfast.
Surely not, but in any case, it probably would behoove us to investigate what's become of this place, just in case, just on the off chance it might give us some hint of where to direct our efforts. Something we could direct our efforts at.
Should probably look for survivors in that tower as well.
Agreed.
Brook Road, you said the gates are torn and the walls are busted down, correct?
Yeah, it looks like the entryway, whatever sacked the tower, forced its way in with a fairly large amount of force.
So does it look like, I don't know, is it something we could tell from here? Does it look like just like a large creature like tore it off, or does it look like they forced in with?
You're not going to be able to see that kind of detail unless you make landfall and go up and examine the entrance.
I think that's what we have to do.
Looking for a safe place to make landfall, circling around the island, well, what is now an island, as you come around to the north east of the island is a smaller island. And the captain tells you that these holdfasts would actually, they would have outlying shrines or temples to whatever gods or spirits that their families revered. And typically these would be built separately from the holdfasts themselves. The idea here is that in order to go pay homage to the spirits or to the gods, you would have to travel from the holdfast to the adjoining hill in order to, because presumably you're going to give thanks or to ask for something or to give prayer. And the idea is that the effort of climbing down one hill and climbing up another had spiritual resonance for the people that lived here. And you can see this very small temple on the hill adjoining the holdfast. And looking at it, while the island the holdfast sits on is completely dark, you don't see a mote of light at all. The adjoining hill looks like it's capped in these luminescent crystals. And that's what's providing most of the natural light in the area right now.
Is that normal? I'm asking the captain. Like, is that something that's normally there? The light?
He tells you that normally all of the high hilltops in the area would have luminescent formations like that. He's actually one of the many sources of his anxiety right now is that Keeglis itself is not currently adorned as such. But looking in the water in the area at the hilltops below you that you're sailing above, you do see several of them have dim illumination of the same kind. But not Keeglis itself.
So does that say to everybody else that... Do you think we should check out the shrine first? Since
Agreed.
I think that has a higher chance of there being people. We can
People
get them
might
loaded.
be taking refuge in there.
Yeah, especially if something happened, if they had to flee the Keeglis itself.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. The captain sails the Widdershins past Keeglis and over towards the Shrine Island as the purplish illumination in the distance gets brighter. And you can see that the hilltop comes to a crest, but then surrounding the hilltop are larger chunks of rock that don't look connected to the hill in any natural way that you'd be familiar with. To your eyes, it looks like rocks are just kind of hovering or orbiting in air. They're not moving. There's no motion. They're still, but they don't seem connected at all to the main hilltop. And it's atop these where you see the purple crystal illumination. So, as the captain, if you want to make landfall on the island, you would have to start at the hilltop and then climb upwards towards the shrine.
Okay.
He doesn't seem perturbed by this at all. This all seems to be in order as far as he can tell. Okay, so we're going to make landfall here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Something, computer noises.
Don't unplug things. Everything will break.
I was just unplugging my phone.
Oh.
Sorry. You know how most people have like a phone charger they plug into the wall? I don't. I just plug into my laptop.
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
Here, I'm going to do this real quick. So we'll have to rotate the table 90 degrees to properly show the map.
It's one of those maps.
Oh, here, I guess I deleted your guys's. So these are 5-foot squares, and the south part here, the approach, would represent the top of the hilltop. So the Widdershins would maybe be 50 or 60 feet away from this point. And then climbing to the hilltop, you can see the rocks and roots and stuff above it. This was not originally a battle map, but it looked so cool I just threw squares on it.
Can't imagine why you would throw squares on a thing like this.
It was so cool you defaced it.
I
Slap
defaced
the
it.
square on it. So cool it is.
Oh, here, you need a scrappy too, don't you?
Yep.
And
Really?
a new Mac.
There's a new Mac.
I feel like we would find this map on like a late era PlayStation Squaresoft RPG.
Yeah,
A
that's
little
totally
bit, yeah.
This is the Saga Frontier map.
Yeah.
Yeah. Can I get the little pointers that show where I can jump between platforms, please?
They didn't have those in Saga Frontier.
They did it in the remake.
Oh yeah, you're right.
Can I like? Are we gonna get to the top and then there's gonna be like a flower bed and we're gonna pick a flower and get jumped by a phoenix?
Well, yeah. So like right here on like the second to last rock is a save point,
Uh-huh.
and then right here is a boss you can't kill.
Oh, you beat boss poop. Okay, got it.
So then you got to start the campaign over.
But we have the save point.
Yeah,
Right.
What does the save point do then?
It saves you there. So now you have to go fight the boss.
Okay, we can reload from there though, right?
Sure, but you can't leave. Because it's Saga Frontier, dickhead.
Well, I mean,
save points are just boss poop. I keep maintaining this.
Rick, I'd like to grind for a little while, please.
Yeah, I would have
Or-
too, unfortunately, the first time I played the Ricky chapter in Saga Frontier. That'd have been nice.
Now he's taking out his saltiness on us.
I mean, it could be worse. The Game Boy Sagas didn't have multiple save slots. I guess if you had a card that was already full of save slots before all the cool Final Fantasy VII animations, you were pretty much screwed either way.
So I'm not the only person that had like.
Oh yeah.
I will never listen. I love Saga Frontier, but I will never forgive it for taking Mei Ling out of my party and making me fight that frickin' boss with 4 people. Thankfully, I had Say, and I just subbed him in and went in. Because they do let you save right there, thankfully. Or unthankfully. Ugh.
As you guys crest the hilltop, you do find several gnomish corpses laying around that are quickly identified as men and women from the garrison from Keeglis. They're armed and armors. Their armor has been rent. Most of the weaponry that you find here, 4 dead men on the hilltop here, poleaxes and crossbows that have all been destroyed, to your eyes, very deliberately. The poleaxes have been snapped in half at the heft. The crossbows are laying next to them have had some of their mechanisms crushed, their strings snapped. And you don't find any ammunition either. Three of these men have, well, let's go ahead and get a medicine check. Who'd like to make one?
I have plus.
I've got a
Wait.
+4. So
Yeah. I think you just beat me on like.
can I have Gus help me on that?
Yeah, that's fine.
Oh right, dark mode is a thing again.
Underdark mode.
That's a 23.
23. 2 of the gnomes, looking at their wounds, you see teeth marks, you see where chunks of flesh have been torn away from the bone underneath tears in the armor. However, you also find on 2 of these gnomes, one of them has taken a quarrel to the gut from a crossbow and is slashed across a leg with a blade that looks suspiciously like one of these discarded poleaxes. You see those kinds of wounds on 2 of the gnomes. The other 2 only have... they look like they've been savaged by an animal.
They turned on each other? Like the BCs on the ship tried to do to us, maybe, you think?
Psychic bullshit.
Or there might be somebody else here.
Well, anyway.
It could be that these 4 were attacking somebody further in. Maybe all 4 of them were. No, because then they wouldn't destroy the weapons.
No, somebody came in after and did that.
Yeah.
So at the top of the hill, cresting around it, are these purple crystal formations. And they're giving off this beautiful luminescence. You were able to see it as soon as you were circling around the island where Keeglis was sitting. This hill sits a little bit lower than the highest part of where the holdfast was built. And the light is beautiful, and it gives off a very kind of resonant hum. Also, as Connor are standing kind of closest to this crystal outcropping here, it's very cold as you step near to it. Above you, the rocks stretch out, connected to the hilltop by these tangles of roots, as though the rock is trying to escape the hilltop, but the root has ensnared it and is holding it in place. There's no motion, and you can't see any strain put on the roots. They're thick, they're large, there are lots and lots of handholds and footholds for them.
How tall is this whole structure to the top?
Figure these are 5-foot squares, and you can kind
Okay.
of extrapolate from that.
Okay, so just vertical. Got it.
Yeah, fine.
Alex is gonna activate his boots of flying and fly up. I guess on one turn I can get 50 feet just to get a better look.
Give me a perception check.
You got it. That would be perception of 20.
Are you flying out over one of these other rock structures, or are you just flying?
No, I'm
upwards
flying
from
straight
the
up
hilltop?
above my companions.
Okay.
So I mean, I don't know
You
how you want it, how you want me to indicate that. But I'm 50 feet up right now.
Sure. You see more corpses. A couple on the larger structures, a couple on this one here, but none higher than this.
Okay.
As this kind of third landing here. At
Can
the
I
very
tell
top
with-
of the structure, the topmost rock,
Mm-hmm.
you can see how it kind of broadens out at the top. And at one point, there was a shrine or an altar of some kind. An outdoor area, like a gazebo kind of structure, with an altar in the center. So not a building, but that looks like it was carved out of one of these large purple crystals. And it's been demolished. The altar has been smashed in half. Large cracks run through the structure, and part of it is deteriorated into rubble. And while you can tell it's the same material, the broken parts are not giving off any luminescence.
And can I tell if the additional bodies are also carrying the same sort of equipment?
Not from this high up.
Okay.
You can surmise them because the size and shape of the bodies are reminiscent of gnomes.
Yeah.
But you'd have to get a little closer to examine the state of their wear. But you see a couple of corpses on this landing, and then a couple on this third landing.
I mean, I'll
Also see movement. And it's very strange because it's not movement in the traditional sense. Like, you don't see something moving along the rocks or between the branches. You catch out of the corner of your eye here and there as you're looking for at other things. You're looking down at the bodies to try to count them out, or looking up at the altar to try to figure out what it's made out of. The luminescence between the crystals, like imagine looking at dust motes in a ray of sunlight, and then something streaks through it and disturbs the dust for a moment. You catch that kind of motion only in places where you're not looking, and it gives you this very unsettling feeling in your stomach.
Alex will fly back down 25. Well, fly all the way back down and kind of whisper quietly to my group that what I saw.
Or at least we're not alone. Hopefully they take prisoners.
Something
Instead of
invisible?
just killing their victims outright.
I don't know, something weird looking. Something weird.
Well, they obviously don't take slaves, and I point at the dead bodies.
I mean, I don't even know if it's an intelligence or if it's some sort of corporeal thing. I have no idea what it was.
Do we currently have some way to see invisibility?
No, the lamp got washed down the drain.
Along with our imp.
I've got like a half dozen things that maybe do it, but let me see if I have any prepared.
Perhaps too
I
many.
mean, I can tag them with. I have a couple spells I could tag them with if I knew where they were, but no, I don't have anything that reveals.
Do you have anything, Lucius? I don't know. I don't know what. I'm not as familiar with the Warlock spell list.
I don't have anything to see invisibility. No, I don't.
This is why I made a lamp.
Nope, sure don't.
Okay. Well, do we have a plan for?
I mean, I want to obviously get most of the bodies together and give them a proper send-off, burial, whatever rituals should be performed. I think we should probably get a better look at that smashed altar, too.
Oh,
Yeah. Do we have a plan for subduing us? Like, just subduing each of us if we get, and I'll point at the bodies that are where they've been fighting with each other. Because no offense to you guys, but I could kill all of you.
Alex will reach into his alchemist kit, pull out a vial of something, reach over to Gus, and kind of force it down his throat real quick. That's a intellect fortress, Gus.
Don't just hand it to him and say, "Hey, Gus, drink this." Like, make sure.
Well, I have to take the action to use it. I mean, that's the consequence of the action system. Don't blame me.
I imagine Alex like stalking towards Gus with like a funnel in one hand.
It's like how I grab my cat and give her steroids to get rid of her allergies every morning.
Gus just like
Just grab Gus by the back of the neck and put a syringe in his mouth and push stuff into it.
I love the idea.
Interesting how a gnome can do that to a half elf. Like I'm really interested in how
Gus.
that works.
It's like, hey, Gus, bend over. Yeah, okay. What you need, Alex?
I love the idea that you have to like hide like magic like good berries or something in a piece of cheese, or Gus won't eat it.
Feel the need to point out to Gus that 2 of us shoot things.
So what do you
So,
do with
you
the
know.
bodies down here, Alex? There's 4 bodies.
I
here.
want to leave them for now. I think once we should figure out what's going on and if anything's going to attack us, and then we get them all together.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I was about to object if you were going to suggest we stop right now and
No.
do.
No, we should figure out what's going on. We should collect them all into one place and then perform the proper ritual and probably burial at sea. I don't think this is going to take to anything other than maybe a Karen, and that doesn't seem like a good idea down here.
Anyway,
So what's next?
I guess we just start climbing, right?
Yeah.
Which way is the path up? Is it this way?
So you can climb up these roots here.
Uh-huh.
You could also probably climb the crystals and then leap over if you were so inclined.
The
And then-
crystals that are humming and cold, right?
It's a very pleasant, kind of calming humming noise, though. Like it's like a white noise machine. It's very distant and kind of comforting. But the crystals themselves, as you approach them, do feel cold.
Lucius reaches out. Does it look like? Do I get the sense that this would be like sticking my tongue to a cold pole? Am I gonna Christmas story if I touch this thing?
So there's not a
Does it feel
layer
like
of
that?
frost on the crystals. So, like, I guess the direct answer to your question is no, because
Okay.
it's not something. It doesn't look to your eyes that like a cold atmosphere is making the material cold. It's not wet or slick. There's not a layer of frost. Like the material itself is very cold, however.
Yeah, Lucius is gonna reach out and actually touch it.
You're wearing gloves or just bare hands?
Gloves.
Then yeah, you just touch it, and it feels smooth and very hard, and not
Like,
very
sense
textured.
of,
Like actually very smooth.
Do I get the sense of vibration like this, like to match kind of this thrumming that I'm hearing?
Yeah, a little bit.
Alex, you're originally from the Underdark. Do you know what these crystals are?
Could I make an Arcana check or anything like that, or
Sure.
is that the proper skill?
Yeah, you can make an Arcana check.
That's an Arcana of 16.
There are literally hundreds and hundreds of different kinds of bizarre luminescent minerals to be found all over the Underdark. This specific one you've probably never encountered before, but it's not something that's out of place or out of the ordinary.
Yeah, this isn't unusual. It's just
Alright.
I don't know the specific materials they're made of. Alex is going to just be flying 25 feet above his companions,
Okay.
and
Gus, yeah,
Steely
Gus,
is going to be in the back.
Gus,
Actually,
just
Steely will be up next to Gus.
Okay.
show off.
As you come up here, you do find 3 more gnomish corpses. Very close to the center, like almost piled one on top of each other. It doesn't look like they were laid here. It looks like this is where they fell. But very tightly packed together, like in this central area on this rock. And again, their weapons, poleaxes and crossbows, both of which have been deliberately destroyed.
Do these? You said there's 3 of them.
Yes.
Do they look like they were savaged or stabbed?
Make a medicine check.
$13.
You find one of them does have a crossbow bolt in the back of his neck as you turn him over.
Hmm.
So yeah, it looks like all of them have been, it looks like they've been savaged, but one of them has also taken wounds consistent with the gnomish weapons you're finding.
So I'm assuming we think there is a psychic entity that has caused all of this in the same manner that was driving the townsfolk insane up
Oh.
and done.
That reminds me, before we do
Oh.
this, Which of you is taking an NZ before leaving the Widdershins?
Oh, the little nails.
Oh,
Lucius ain't taking one.
Alex is fine with that one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Connor would.
Connor has an NZ?
Yeah.
Ow. That
Oh, only
fucking
Connor. Okay.
hurts.
Well, I have an intellect fortress on now, so
I've got an extremely high
So
intelligence save and a ton of stuff I can throw on it.
As a precaution, before you got off the Widdershins, Connor, you went down and they put you back down to do the whole little ritual and you felt a little hammer tap in the back of your neck. Okay.
Yeah.
all right. Whoa. Weird. I guess just
Cool.
call
Roll
out if you
initiative.
call out if you see something.
Rolling initiative.
Roll the initiative.
Rolling.
Ah, that's a low number.
You might want to try to roll high numbers.
Oh shit, that's how this works?
I mean, initiative, it really doesn't matter that much.
Oh, it's been like 7 years and no one told me.
Listen, I spent last campaign rolling all the high numbers, and it didn't really help.
Why why that feat's a trap?
Like you spend most of the time, you're like, well, I don't know that there's anything wrong, so I'm just gonna pass my first turn.
Oop, that's the wrong one. Sorry, in my notes, these monsters are color-coded, and I have to make sure I use the right colors, or else the wrong monsters will go.
Color coded for your convenience.
Where's
Gus.
Yes.
As you approach this this large bramble, you climb your way up 10 or 15 feet up to the next rock, you hear behind you and throughout the rock you guys are currently traveling on, you hear the earth split open in a couple places, and protrusions jut out.
This is upsetting.
It's this looks like the same kind of material as the purple crystals, except they're like a haunting light blue. The humming and the cold are still present. This one's in the wrong spot. Five of them burst out from the ground as you guys move past. And that's going to bring us to Alexander's turn.
Alex will fly another 25 feet up, so now he's 50 feet up.
Okay.
And he will ready an action to shoot the first thing that attacks one of my companions.
And then Numac.
Numac. It's going to dodge.
Okay.
Oh, and Steely is dodging. Sorry.
Gus.
Well, hold on, because I don't know if I get mind controlled, moving next to everybody's a bad thing. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. Are they moving at all, or are they just crystal pillars?
They're not even really pillars. They're maybe like football sized. They kind of just erupted out of the rock from beneath your feet. 5 of them. Giving off this haunting blue light.
All right. I'm going to just dodge, I guess.
Okay.
But I'm going to get close so that I can be within hitting range.
And make sure that I measured this out properly. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oops. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. More of this blue crystal erupts all around the southern border of this rock structure with enormous noise and shakes the whole ground that you're standing on. This 10-foot high wall of the same looming, humming, haunting blue stone. Enormous, and with just a few seconds. And I think Alex... I might have to make a couple saving throws here. No saving throws. But Alex and Lucius, where you're standing, and Numac as well, I suppose. Sorry, not Alex. You're flying high up in the air. But Lucius, where you and Numac are standing, the air is suddenly so extremely frigid. This wall that's built up next to you is ice cold. That's going to bring us to Connor.
Huh. All right. Take a few steps back. Connor is going to ready in action. And the trigger is going to be when I'm going to get this trigger run. One of these crystal things attacks one of his comrades. He will fire an arrow at the attacking crystal. I want to say creature. Crystal. Because it might not be a creature.
If the crystal attacks one of your comrades, you want to shoot the crystal.
Yeah.
Okay. Lucius.
Am I in a situation where I would need to disengage?
No, not in anything threat range. But when you try to move away from the wall, your tongue is stuck to it. Oh no!
Oh no! Yeah, no, Lucius is going to step down to where he's kind of in the middle of his comrades, and then... let's see. Anything fancy I want to try before... No, I'm good.
Okay.
I'm going to dodge there.
It's going to bring us back to Alex.
Can I make an active perception check to see if there's anything other than these crystals in this wall that are like actively moving around right now?
Go ahead and give me that roll.
It's 21.
21. Again, you kind of catch this movement through the light, but not along the ground, like I described earlier.
Mm-hmm.
From your vantage point as well, though, looking at the next ledge up, you do see the southern edge of it is skirted with rubble, remnants of what a moment ago just looked like part of the stone of the structure, but now you realize is this crumbled blue stone of one of these walls.
Okay. Let's fly up another. Let's see how high I'm up on it. Around 50. I'll go up, fly up another 25. Move myself a little more central, and then Steely is going to move to here and dodge.
So if you're 50 feet above the ground at this point, you're probably well above the top of even the highest part of the...
I'm 75 now. I got 120 feet of dark vision, so...
Yeah, you're way up in the air. And then Steely's dodging?
Yeah.
It's going back to Numac.
Numac going to cast See Invisibility.
Okay.
That's the thing he can do.
And that gives him...
He can see invisible creatures as though they were visible, and if they happen to be in the ethereal plane, they appear ghostly and translucent. But that doesn't appear to be a thing in on Trennis, unless they want to get eaten by.
Oh no, their ethereal plane is awful. Never go there. He just collapses in horror, seeing all the ghostly ethereal worms around us.
Numac sees 6 previously invisible creatures. These things are about the size of a large dog, and they're sightless. The front of their heads arc off of this neck and strong muscular back of bristly hair and end in a sharp tooth-rimmed maw reminiscent of an eel. And they're loping forward on all fours. They have a long rat-like tail lashing out behind them. And their 2 front appendages look like the folded up flaps of bat wings. There are 6 of them around, loping in towards the middle. And yeah, Numac can see them. One of them is climbing down the roots up over Steely.
Warn Connor of the danger behind him, I guess.
Is Numac moving or staying put?
Numac is staying put, though.
Okay. And he only casts See Invisible on himself, correct?
Yeah. So it doesn't affect anyone else.
All right. And now green guys get to go. Gus, looks like you're going to have the most fun.
Right. Don't forget that that Alexander's flying.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah.
Lucius, you're going to have some fun.
Man!
He would have moved it anyway. He would have been attacking. Like,
Gustavus pushing me under the bus.
Start with Gus here.
I was hoping he'd just go back for me.
Gus...
Yeah.
I have a 12 to hit,
No.
a 14,
Uh-uh.
and a natural 20.
Yeah.
Turbo shield stops crits.
Are you resistant to BPS? Bludgeoning, piercing, or slashing? From any
Not
source?
natural. No.
Okay.
I can be.
Are
Not
you at
right
the
now.
moment?
Not at the moment.
Okay. "40 points of piercing damage from the one bite that gets on you as these things lope towards you. And as they move towards you, you can't see them. I should have been rolling an advantage on these guys. What am I doing? Let's see if I get 2 more crits. I do not. Pair of 4s. So yeah, guys, you hear Numac kind of call out a warning that these invisible creatures, but too late for you. You feel the first 2 latching onto parts of your armor, and the third one bites into the side of your shoulder on your back so viciously. And the rest of you, as this thing attacks Gus, as it actually makes contact with him, you see the creature's form, but only in the glow and the shift of the light. You don't actually see its body. And it's only for the duration of when he's physically latched on to Gus, biting him in the shoulder. Lucius, I'm going to give you one of these.
Really rather you not. You're rolling at disadvantage.
Why?
Dodging.
Right, he's invisible.
I'm saying yeah. I don't like that. I don't like 40 points of damage to my face. Thank you very much.
How does a 11 do to hit?
That misses.
That misses. That's the
Yes.
first time I've ever missed Lucius.
He put his armor on.
Steely,
Yep, he's dodging as well.
I have an 11 to hit, and Connor.
Take disadvantage. Oh, he probably can't see these, so he probably can't deflect. I'll double check. but-
Only Numat can see these things. Connor,
Yes.
I have a
Yeah, I can see.
21 to hit.
I'll allow it.
Connor, do you have resistance to...
No.
No? Okay. .26 piercing damage
Very well.
as this thing bites into you. So I'm going to flip the ones that have... Oops. I'm going to flip the ones that have actually bitten comrades, because these ones, you can kind of see their outline as the light shifts and moves, coming off these glowing crystals and this glowing blue wall. Let's make sure I gave you guys all 6. I sure did. That's going to bring us to Gus.
Okay. Ow. I don't want to alarm anybody, but that was a significant chunk of my HP.
40? Really?
Yeah, I have 92 hit points.
Mm.
Nobody else in the party has that many. Don't me. I'm going to. Let me read this one. As you can see, okay. So these count as being able to be seen, right?
Yes, the ones that I flipped over that have actually made contact with you guys.
Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to since I am surrounded by 3 of them, and I am actually going to cast Blade Ward.
Okay,
So I have resistance to all 3 of those things now.
good.
And in addition to that, I am going to use my bonus action to hit this guy with my hammer.
Do it.
It does a 23 hit.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Right, he is taking 12 magical bludgeoning damage.
Okay.